Hi, everybody. Welcome back to SheSpark, where empowering conversations unfold. Join us as we dive into the journeys, wisdom, and accomplishments of successful women in their respective fields. Today's guest is Payal Nath, co-founder of Kadam Haat, an India-based company which works with our rural artisans to uplift them and provide them space to sell their creations. Payal started Kadam Haat in 2009, and since then, she has won so many awards for her entrepreneurship, such as the Amazon Small and Medium Businesses Entrepreneur of the Year Award in 2020 and the Women Transforming India Award in 2023. She was one of 75 women honored as Women Transforming India by Niti Aayog, an Indian government organization which promotes national development by creating policies and programs which boost economic growth and relationships between states. Payal works with villages from 4 states in India: West Bengal, Odisha, Bihar, and Kashmir. She promotes sustainability, as Kadam Haat's goods are all crafted from locally sourced raw materials such as sabai grass, bamboo, and cotton. She also emphasizes the importance of empowering women in rural areas of India to make something for themselves. These are women who aren't typically encouraged to work and are instead assigned housework and taking care of the children. And in their meantime, they make these gorgeous baskets. Kadam Haat works with these communities and encourages these women to take these products that they have been making for years and turn it into something that can be a profit to them. They then use this profit to support their families, communities, and themselves as individuals. Now that I've told you a little bit about what Kadam Haat does, let's get into Payal Nath herself and hear more of her story. Hi, Payal. How are you today?
Very well, thank you. Lovely to meet you, Ankitha.
You too. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. So your company, we will get into that later. I'm so excited to discuss about it. But before we get into that, could you tell us a little bit more about yourself and where the inspiration for that idea came from?
Um, yeah, see, if you have to go back, you have to go back 30, 40 years to be able to tell about my journey. So I am in my mid 50s right now, and I started, I think, as a daughter of a army officer, where we were posted, from city to city or place to place every 2 to 3 years. So there was a lot of adapting. And I saw my mother as a role model, wherever she was a professional, but she couldn't take up a career professionally because of three of us and then because of my father getting posted. So as a, selflessly, wherever my dad was posted, to be able to open a school for the underprivileged children and very selflessly give it up for somebody else to run and then move on to do, and with full commitment, like a very resilient lady who did whatever she did with full conviction at that point of time, to living in the present at what was required. And also, I think the kind of upbringing with my father, it was never about you want to be a doctor or or a career or what pays well or what doesn't, but basically to live to your fullest potential.
Mhm.
And he always said that you do not be a national waste wherever you work or whatever you do as you grow up. um, I studied physics from Delhi University. I moved on to do shoe design and worked in the industry as a shoe designer initially, and a lot of learning there also from my immediate boss, was an Italian designer, and a lot of learning from him.
You mentioned that you studied physics in college. How
Yes.
did you decide to shift completely towards a different field?
Yes. So my mother was, yes, that is one point I left out. So when we all grew up as we are three siblings. When we grew up, and my mom, she felt that she had the time to go back to. She's basically a gold medalist in sociology. She was a professor before she got married in
Mhm.
sociology in the university. So she said that maybe she can try and start to work now because she had more time. And while working, she got a job in the shoe industry, and she started to work as a translator for a British company. And while doing that, she learned shoes, and she was picked up later on to work with the Footwear Design Development Institute as as a part of the team, as a technical team, because she picked up she literally knew, she learned how to open up a machine and put it back again, so that's the,
Mhm.
I guess, if you're aware and there's no ego to tell you that this is a small job or a big job, so the learnings that I'm telling you, I mean, I think the tremendous learnings from my parents, so my mom, and she had a lot of colleagues in SHU that time, into German export promotion, UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So all of these were promoting manufacturing of shoes in India. It is early 1990s I'm talking
Yeah.
about. And that's the time when my mom, got this, and she's very sharp, and she could grow very quickly in this field. All her colleagues were Germans and Australians, and they used to come home, and there was some Italian designer as well, at that time they were working together, and it intrigued me, as to how. And for this, because it was extremely scientific, the whole approach to design here was scientific. And of course, I mean, I think creativity runs in, I feel in all women, in all homes in India.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen I've grown up, wearing my mom or my grandmom knitting sweaters for us and all of that. So, and paintings and all that. So my mom was creative as well. But then I think it ran in all of us as well. So this was a field where we could combine some sort of creativity, but with a lot of science, engineering, and technical knowledge. So it was very exciting for me. And so when I would see my mom, and I think it excited me to see the kind of work culture and kind of possibilities. And it was a new upcoming field to do shoes. So that's how I got into shoes, I guess, seeing my mom work and her work culture around. Yeah.
That's such a beautiful inspiration. On the topic of family, you did start this company with your sister, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Yes. So while I get there, of course, so after doing this work as a consultant with the ministry, and then, actually got to know a little bit about rural clusters and
Mhm.
crafts communities and how they work and how they operate and things like that. But I also realized that it's very hard to actually find solutions in the kind of box of policies and
Mhm.
the way the projects were institutionalized by the government
Could
or
you could
institutions.
you expand a little more on what rural clusters are?
Clusters are, I mean, as the English term cluster, it's a sort of a group of people, working on a particular craft and who live
Mhm.
close by, almost like hamlets and villages, and
Mhm.
where the communities of people who will work together. Let's say the basketry makers of let's say bamboo basketry makers. No?
Mhm.
So they all live in a certain area, and then this entire group would be called a cluster. So
Oh,
a
got
couple
it.
of hamlets put together.
Mhm.
So yeah. So should I say there is a term in India called self-help groups, and
Mhm.
which is normally of some women together, and so a couple of self-help groups together would be called a cluster
Oh, okay.
from a particular area.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, where was I? I kind of lost track. Where was I?
So beginning
Yeah.
beginning the company.
Yeah. So working on the projects, and it was
Mhm.
interesting. And then at the same time, my sister, she was working with high design at that time
Mhm.
as a designer, and she quit and she came back to Delhi from
Mhm.
south, from Pondicherry. And and together both of us, we just walked, one day to Hoskas in Delhi. That's where my sister lived, and I
Mhm.
was visiting her from Calcutta, and we walked in. And we said, why don't we open a shop here, and maybe marketing is such a big problem for the communities, at the wherever we're working as and on projects. So maybe we can help to sell through these. So
Mhm.
that's our first shop that we opened was in Hoskas village. We shut it down very soon also. I mean, after I think about a year or 2 years itself, we shut it down because we also realized that the shop is a boutique shop would mean supporting very limited number of people, artisans. It just caters to it doesn't help the community. It doesn't help the cluster. It doesn't have an impact on the community at the back end. It just helps for your design sensibilities to be fulfilled, to be able to satisfy your customer, a
Mhm.
few people who believe in your design sensibility. So as a designer, it's a lot of my creative juices are flowing, probably both of us as sisters, but then it wasn't really helping the communities. So then that's when the whole concept of opening up Kadam as an NGO started. Because okay, if not this, if we can't do this, it means we'll do some trainings, at the back end through our set up an NGO, which will, we went in the social direction, not in the business direction of things. We said that, whatever communities we are working and the projects with the governments, they don't help beyond a certain time. Maybe we need to do more handholding, longer handholding. So that's how Kadam as an NGO, non-profit organization, was born in 2006. And me and my sister and my husband and a couple of other like-minded people, we all joined in and started this in Calcutta. And I was living in Calcutta with my husband at that time, and I had a little daughter as well. So we started to travel to various clusters, which we had initially worked with, in the projects. That's what our first group that we could identify, they needed help. And we saw, we weren't even sure whether it'll work actually. We just thought we'd see with whatever monies, savings that we had, and we could put that all together and we said, let's try. It worked. It worked. I mean, it worked like wonder. It worked like magic, and yeah. So, and we realized, it was because it was not just the ticking, okay, this job needs to be done and this deliverable from the project and this deliverable from the project. It's a human to human connection. And first is to make connections with the community, for them to accept you, for us to understand what they do. And once the trust is built, to be able to bring up and come up solutions for whatever problems that they feel they have together. And so our model for Kadam was formed, crystallized, wherein we must do a social mapping of the community, that wherever we are going to work, we must understand what their aspirations are. Maybe they don't want a big amount of orders. Maybe they just want some little work where they can work from their homes and be socially and financially independent, whatever. So the aspiration mapping of the community, then whatever material is growing easily, in that area. So raw material mapping, and then the skill mapping. So that's how our model of Kadam as the NGO was born, where we must do the mapping of the area and of the community.
Yeah,
And
sounds
then,
like you have to do some meticulous planning.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's you see, because coming from a science background and an analytical background, it's very hard not to think scientifically and analytically. So we sort of, created, and it's not that you can actually apply this as a formula everywhere, because ultimately you're dealing with humans, and and it's emotions, and it's so much beyond just, just it's not transactional. It's intangible. A lot of intangible assets need to be built here, in this relationship building as well.
But while you were doing this planning and everything, how did you overcome so you come from more urban areas, right? Urban people and rural people have different goals, different values. Did you experience any challenges trying to plan and get rural areas to cooperate? And how did you overcome those?
Yes, that's the thing is, when you connect, a soul to soul or a human to human, and I think that's where the upbringing mattered a lot. I think, we've grown up, I mean, with such humility. I'll tell you, my father put us always in government schools, although he was he could have put us easily in the best, being in the education corps and being on the board of a lot of, very big schools in the country. He could have easily, but he put us in the same school where our cook's children were studying. He wanted to prove and he wanted to show that education does not mean a branded school or a branded education. That is beyond. It's just building your mind and the right values and systems, which can come from anywhere. So I think that it's just that, again, going back to this kind of a rapport building and working to go sleep with the community on the floor for weeks at a stretch and have just one meal, whatever they are having. Yes, it's not easy, but if your mission and if you're driven with your passion is much stronger, it doesn't come in the way as much, because you want to make it work, and you know it no matter what. So and you know what and you see the results also coming, and if the results are not there, then you get even more charged to make it happen. You'll do what you wanted. And also I think so the whole exercise, yes, we had some we had some successes, we had some failures, but I think we had 99% successes and 1% failures. So that was a huge already for us to do. And we were not at all looking at finances. What are we going to gain from it? It was never what will we gain from it.
Mm-hmm.
It was always how is this? How are we going to be contributing to be able to work? And also because we felt so blessed because we had what we were blessed with good families, decent amount of money that we require to live our regular lives. I would take I didn't have a car to drive down. I would take a passenger train and go to the villages, so to say. I mean, I had a car, but it was a shared car with my husband, and he had to go to work with that car. So it wasn't really like, again, going back to it's just pure intention, purpose, and that what gave me happiness. And, so my sister and me, we started to sometimes used to travel together, sometimes separately. But more and more, I got more pulled into this activity, and I started to work full time and completely left the projects. And there was, but I had my husband to depend on for running the home. Like for you have your right basics that you need, right? So my husband was doing well. My daughter was in school, and we were taken care of. In fact, there's an incident when I took my daughter to one of the villages because she started to stammer, and we took her to the therapist, and the doctor said that she is because you travel too much, maybe your husband is forever traveling, so maybe she feels emotionally insecure, and so. I had a conversation with her, and I told her that for a mama, for me, you are priority beyond anything else in the world, and but I want you to see what I do, and I want you to come with me. And so she went with me to the village first time, where she was brought up in a city with complete, unlike me, where I was brought up in a very different environment, where my parents exposed me already to all of that. And the army, you do get exposed to countryside living, but here she was a pure city bred, studying in an international school, and pampered completely by the home staff and her grandparents and all of that. So she, my husband's mother, my mother-in-law also lived in Calcutta. And the only granddaughter. So you can imagine it was a lot of pampering and all of that. So she went and she saw, and she was quite. I think I'm blessed really to have such a beautiful family, including the child. And so she didn't complain too much. Of course, she said, "There's no bathroom." I said, "No, you have to go in the fields, and then this is how people live here, and all of that." And so then we have to go back early because today we have to cook food in the chula, so we have to pick up some vegetables or whatever, and dinner we're going to cook ourselves. So there was a lot of learning for her. It was like a like a play thing for her. She was 4.5, 5, something like that time. So it was exciting for her. She saw everything. When we came back, and I said, if you want me to not work, you've seen what I do, I will not go back. I will not do this because you are most important for me. And so she said, Mama, I have Didis here. I have my grandmother here. They have nobody. When you go there, they run and they come to you, they sit with you, I think you should do what you do. So she became very proud. So communication, right? The same thing my parents did with me. There was a lot of, with us as children, there was a lot of communication, facts, and, spoken, and the ownership for decisions from the very beginning. Some people say that, maybe it's not a good idea because the child matures very fast. But I feel if the child is ready to be, if a child is a mature child, she will understand. If she didn't understand, might have taken another step and might have gone in the other direction of being a mother to her first, and then trying to be a mother to the others, in the community, as a community. So yeah, I guess so coming back to your question, to be able to relate to people, you need to understand them like family, like them also as family, and what is it that they want from us, and what is it that we can do. I don't have any money to give to the community. I said, all that we can do is we can work together and maybe fuel your aspirations if you have it. Let's see if we can work together to help develop that, if there is any way. We do not know whether it will come through, but we can try. So that's how the first trial happened. It worked. Then Bengal, a couple of trials happened. It worked. IIT, there was a professor, IIT Kharagpur. So he also reached out. I think if you do some little bit of good, you do get noticed, and I think there are people always looking out for some good work that is happening, and authentic work which is happening. So I
Yeah.
guess, yeah, I guess it grew bit by bit, bit by bit. It was very hard. Sometimes there were no finances. I had to keep borrowing money even to run this setup from my husband, but we could, because my needs are very less to. I mean, my mother-in-law would always say that, you never buy saris, you never buy jewelry, da, 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 all of that. But I mean, I guess that, again, coming back to your purpose in life, what is it that gives you happiness? What is it that gives you joy? And follow that as a passion. And for me, this is what gave me happiness, because if I could see thousands more happy, I was much happier than me alone being happy with something which I wanted. I don't know. It's just individual approaches probably. And yeah, I guess from there, 2006 to 2016, we were doing things like these. And in between, we opened in 2008 or 9, we opened Kadam Haat, a small company to help in marketing also. Although it was never to make profits, never to have sort of a company as a brand, Kadam Haat as a brand. It was never the intention. The whole intention was always to train these communities, connect them directly to the markets, to some buying houses or some buyers, big buyers, and they could sell. And the ones, if they couldn't manage to sell at some point of time, then they could use our small setup as a company that we had started called Kadam Haat in 2008 or 9. So it's only during, while Kadam was growing as an NGO, then we got to know that, hey, listen, there are some grants also that people do give to doing this work. It's not just that you have to keep putting your own money. In 2016, first time we got to know that it works with grants. And then so we were invited by HCL Foundation. They said, whatever you've done in Bengal and Orissa, if you can come and do the same in UP. So we did what we did over there, seeing that work. People from World Bank invited us in Kashmir, and they said, as with the government of Jammu and Kashmir and with the World Bank as domain experts, whatever your needs are, you can come and execute similar project with 600 more people in Kashmir. So that's how it traveled, and then we did. So we crossed. So Kadam was growing, the number of communities at the back end was growing. And COVID hit 2020, and that's when we realized that Kadam Haat as a small company was not equipped to handle the sales of so much, where a lot of the big brands did drop them. They did not buy from trained communities. And we said, no, we have to help the communities now, not help really, but we have to partner with the communities in a way that we will start to build a brand, and brand will be the face of the basketry makers of India. We were already in 5 states of India. This year in 24, we went to the 6th state, in Tamil Nadu, also first state in the south of India. And we said we will be the brand now, and we will work to it. So we raised some venture capital in 2024 or 2022, June. And and then that also came on its own, actually, because they saw probably that, there is this possibility of an authentic company to become a brand, and they have genuine interest, and they have a large supply chain at the back end. So if some funds could help to make, this dream of theirs a success, so the venture capital money came in. And it's been, I think we haven't looked back from 2022 onwards. We've just been on it. We have a mission of working as partners with 1 million people at back-end basketry makers. And why basketry makers, if you ask me? You didn't ask me that question, but I tell you, because basketry makers it's not an exotic craft in India. You have the handloom, you have the embroideries. India is known more for that. India is not known for basketry. Yeah. And basketry are the poorest of the poor in the country. And being a true soldier's daughter, give us the biggest challenge, and we want to solve that challenge, right? So if nobody goes there, nobody, at least when we started in 2006, nobody went to the basketry makers. I don't know of any organization, I mean, as a brand, or who was working with the basketry makers at that point of time.
So the market for these products wasn't very big at the time when you
No,
started.
it wasn't there. It wasn't there. And nobody wanted to work in an area. First of all, it is extremely remote. B, then the communities, the skill level is very low. And C, I guess the infrastructure is not there at all. Where is the raw material supply chain? If you don't have cotton, if you have fabric and then you do something, or if you have the yarn and you just buy the yarn from the market, you know where to buy that from, right? But in this, the grasses, they are growing. How are they growing? They're randomly cut and then they're used whenever, harvested. So there's no system, so to say, supply chain. And we all know, to run a business, the raw material supply chain is extremely important. Right? Where is the raw material coming in? What price is it coming in? Based on that, your produce will be market friendly, price friendly for the consumer who needs it, right? So there was nothing, here in this area. So we took our basketry, and now that's our dream also, to be the face of the basketry makers from India as of now. 1 million. We have trained just 10,000. We are able to, in these 2 years of our brand, able to support just 1,000 out of the 10,000 for sustainable incomes. I mean, month-on-month income. I mean, bringing an opportunity to produce something every month based on whatever they would like to produce. If it is 1,000 pieces a month, then so be it. If it is 100 pieces, so be it. So to be able to map all of these communities, what they want, and then to give them the designs that they would produce, which the brand would sell. And then we have to sell, and we need monies and the cash flows, and the business part of it. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. It's it's like I feel like a kid all over again now, because there's so much of, now it's business led. Earlier it was social development, and now it's business development.
But all your hard work has definitely paid off. Your hard work has definitely paid off, because now you work very closely with Amazon India. You are a TEDx speaker. Your accomplishments, in my opinion, are huge, and your motive is very unique, and it's definitely something that more people should be focusing on, because it's so niche. In your opinion, what are your biggest accomplishments as an entrepreneur through your entrepreneurial life?
Accomplishments. I think, I already spoke about it while I was talking about the previous piece, wherein I think the love and the trust of the communities that you get, and they consider you like God. That's the kind of love that they share. I think, I think the sharing of love and trusting, and a feeling that we give them strength. I feel they feel that we give them strength to be able to carry on and do whatever, have a socially as well as financially better life. I feel they have given me strength to carry on, irrespective. Sometimes no money for business, sometimes this, sometimes that, sometimes no market for the product. But that, I think, building of communities and the resilience of the, learning from each other, I think that's a beautiful relationship building has been phenomenal. I think that's the biggest achievement for me.
That's an amazing message, Payal. Thank you so much for all your knowledge today. It was wonderful and so inspiring to hear about your journey. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing. It's great.
Thank you, and all the very best to you. I love seeing the young girls enterprising, doing what they're doing. So all the best to you as well. And yeah, thank you
so
for
much.
this. Yeah,
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.